Alright guys, I'm going to be doing some white only example solves. It'll just be a few, and hopefully they're pretty simple, self-explanatory, nothing too fancy. Let's get right into it. So the first thing I see is this orange piece is already in place, and when I solve green, it'll put red in place. I also see the solved edge, but the corner is attached to this kind of bad piece right here, so it's not going to be too useful. So what I will do is solve green, then before solving red, placing blue on top of red and doing the opposite move. So instead of solving red right away, I'm going to line up blue, solve blue, and then solve red. And the first thing I see is this pair, so pretty easy insert. And I'm tracking this corner. I already saw this edge when I was back over here. So I'm going to rotate, and I see this corner is going to end up with white facing this side, I believe. So solve the pair, then U2 and solve this 5 mover. And then I see two things. I see this pair, and I see this pair. Both have their edges oriented. I do know some VHLS for front right slot, so I will solve the back left slot first. And I see that when I pair this up, I am going to not insert it right away. I'm going to actually put it in the back and do sledge, U2 sledge, and that will solve all my edges. U2 R prime, put it in the back, sledge, U2 sledge. That gives me this OL, the TOL. So I actually do some COL, but most people would recognize this pattern or this pattern and do the lefty version, which is fine, I guess. But I'm not good at lefty moves. I should get better, but I don't really prefer them. And so instead, I would recognize from here, and these two match, these two are opposite, U2, and then I think Timon might use this out, I'm not exactly sure. But I do this out. No, I don't. Let's see, how did I set that up? Back up. I do this out, which is basically just the back version of, it's like if you do the rotationless Uperm with D moves, the one where you start from here and do this kind of stuff, it's like the first moves of that. And then from here, I do notice this pattern, so I could technically do this. I don't find that, like, people love it. I don't find it very fast. So I would do U, see this pattern, or stick with this pattern, because I know that there can be an opposite bar here, because there's a bar here, and this right here automatically tells you the opposite is on the back side, because that's the opposites being here is not a possible case. So just do U, and then this U perm from the back with a U prime AU up. Next scramble. So the first thing I see here is like this is an opposite edge. Like this can be placed opposite with just an R2, and it also lines up orange. So when I solve this and then solve blue, this solve green here, D solve orange, and then red's going to end up right here, which will just be a pretty easy insert. I also notice that none of that affects this right here except for the one B move. We're just going to put it up here with the edge oriented. So I will be able to solve my first pair rotationless. And that's going to look something like this. And then DU at the same time to set this up. I see this pair right here. So I will rotate, put it in the back, solve it on the left. And now, again, I see this edge is solved. what I should do here is this, because that sets up a pseudo pair, but I would never see that. I would just do D to move this corner slot over here and solve this corner, and D, and I actually love this F12 case. This is a very nice one, very finger trick friendly and very easy to recognize. So I would solve it like that. This OLL, so the OLL I use is very uncommon for this. I think Yihang used it in an average he did maybe, to not get diag. I really liked it actually. I think it's very finger trick friendly and very fast. But since these two are opposite and these two are matching, it's actually going to skip. It's going to give me corner solved. Sexy Sledge, and then Pure Soon. That's actually going to be the same Uperm. However, I'm not going to do the same alg because then I'll get a U2 AUF. I'm going to use an alg that Timon also used in an average he did quite a few years ago, but it looks something like this. And that solves the cube. Next scramble. So right away I see this pair, and it'll actually be very easy to preserve. I can solve green, which isn't going to affect it, do U to line up red relative to green on top of the green center, and do F, U, F prime, L prime, and that's actually going to be this pair right here, which is a 3-move insert into the left slot. So it's going to look something, front left slot. It's going to look something like this. And I also noticed that this corner got solved and this edge is right here, which sets up a really nice alg. So D to solve the cross, insert the pair, and then rotate. And now I believe I learned this alg from Uperms. It's actually a very, very nice alg. From the left side, that looks something like this. And now I see that I have a dot on top, and so I'm actually going to solve this pair first, the front pair, because both of these pieces are pretty easy to see, so I'm not going to have any problems with look ahead. So I'm not going to rotate for this, because I don't need to. I just do F, F prime, lefty inverse sexy, F, and then I see this edge back here is going to move to here, and white's going to be on top, so I can solve that. YD, R, U2, R prime. And then right away I see this block right here, which looks bad because I only have 2 edges oriented, but if I rotate, I can actually do this alg to skip OLL and get another Uperm. So again, that alg just goes like this, rotate, bring this cross edge up, which you can either do with R prime, F, R, or wide L, U prime, U, wide L, U, wide L prime. And you just attach the pair and inverse. Another interesting thing is that technically I could have done this to set up my edges. And this is actually a TZ reel, I do know, one of the few. But I did not see that. So since I saw this block first, I will just use the OLL skip case. And then for this, it's kind of an interesting angle because there's no really good alg you can do from this angle. I would either U into this with an R3, which I actually think flows better because of the AUF. But I could see this too. I just think the push and then here is not as good. So in a solve, probably I would do this. Just the front alg. It's not too bad. Next solve. So I see a very nice way to solve this cross. It does include a B move, but it's very smooth and very nice. I would start from here. Sometimes I would start from here for this, because of how I'm going to solve this edge. It's going to be very, very nice to start from yellow on top. So pick up and then actually do one of the things I did in the first solve, which is wait to solve across this to set up another one. And instead of just doing R2 to solve the blue edge, do RU2 to set up this edge. And when I solve this edge and this edge, it's actually going to set up the green edge right on its center. So it's a very nice motion. I don't see any pairs right away. After looking around, this is a pretty good case right here. It looks bad, but if you just do F, you set up into this case, which you just solve right away. Sometimes when I do that case, I will look around for a U move I can implement to make it a little nicer. I don't see anything too good right now, so I'm just going to do F prime. Both of these two pairs require rotations, so I will just rotate and do them both on the left side. I'll do this back pair first, just this, and then a nice U into this pair. This pair also requires rotation, but this case is a little different because it's long from here. If you get it from here, it's a long solution. And if you get it from here, it's a shorter, but you do have to rotate. Most of the time for this pair, I'll just set it up and then use F moves to insert. I do the OL from this side, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a PLL skip. These match and these match, which means CP will be solved. And I see a block here and a block here. So when I do the wide RL, yep, PLL skip. So that's pretty nice. Next scramble. This is not a good one. I think here I would just kind of deal with whatever this comes up being. I know it's going to be somewhere around here probably, but the way I'm going to solve this is line up green. Actually, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from here, move red relative, then do kind of rotate back up while I'm doing DU2. And then basically what I'm doing is just doing this, which looks kind of slow, but it's not so bad. So basically L, R, and then this blue edge is set up, so F. I do see that this edge is oriented, and I see this corner after looking around. In a solve, I'd probably do this pair. It's very intuitive. So yeah, I do this. And this is actually the same pair as what blue-red was, but I will stick with blue-red because that was my next pair. Then I'll solve red-green, just double lefty sexy, and then U. And I see there's these three edges oriented, and this one is obviously going to be oriented because this is just R and U, so it doesn't break up any of the edges. So I see this. Now, it'll depend on what corners I see get oriented. Sometimes I'll do this, which will give me a soon. And sometimes I'll just do the normal insert. In this case, like a soon is not even that great because I do get T-perm, which is nice, but it's a longer insert versus this. And then this pi case, it has a kind of weird CLL, but it does give me a U-perm. Now here, since I ended that kind of awkwardly, like I don't really like that CLL. It feels kind of long almost, but this, you can either do this alg, or you could do the R3 alg ratio. I prefer RU algs. They just flow so much nicer, but I would do that, and that solves it. All right, last solve. So I think here, I would solve blue, D2 solve red, relative to each other. And then just use a pretty intuitive insert here. So D, and then this, put green on top, R prime F. I see these two right away. I will do double inverse 60, R prime E2 R. This pair is nice. And it also sets up my favorite F2L case. So I will do that. And this corner is not going to change. It's going to be right where it was. And I can preserve EO here. So this edge. So there's really two ways you can do this pair. You can do it like this, instead of a like connected pair, or you can do it like this. The best way to do it is like this right here, because it sets up into a 3 over 2. That's all EO. I do not know COL for this L case. So I'll just do this, which ends up being pretty nice. Just a J-frame. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. And just a nice little update. I am planning on actually switching to the full ZB method. So I am making a whole calendar, which I will post in the description when finished, of how I'm going to do that. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. But yeah, hopefully I can have some fun with that. I'm not really attempting to get faster with it. I'm just really trying to have some fun with it, and I love learning new algs, so hopefully that'll be fun. So yeah, I'll update you guys about that, and I'll see you all later. Thanks for watching.